Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed lunch. It was wonderful. Crepe Town did a great job. I hope they can hear us in the back. So, the next session is the highlight of the Food Summit each year for very good reason. These young leaders, aren't just learning about food systems, they are shaping the future of agriculture in the Valley. You'll hear their stories, their aspirations, and their ideas for what a better food system would really look like. This isn't a panel that you just listen to, this is a panel you feel. Mackenzie Feldman will moderate this panel for the third year. She's the founder and co-director of Rewild Your Campus, a national organization supporting colleges in eliminating synthetic pesticides and transitioning to organic land care. She's also a recent UTRGV alum and the 2024-2025 Obama Foundation USA leader. She's also just a very powerful moderator for talking about youth leadership and in agriculture. She's a change maker, she's an advocate, she is an educator, working at the intersection of food, environment, and community empowerment. It is my absolute honor to welcome this panel and this group of people to the stage. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bella, for that introduction. It's a lot of pressure when every year I feel like everyone says this is the best panel ever, so we're going to do our best, and I think you'll really enjoy hearing all of their stories. Today we have with us Drew Nieto. He's a student at UTRGV, and here representing the UTRGV Hub of Prosperity Organic Farm. We have Marcos Cano, student at Mission High School, and he'll talk to you about his being president of the Surf and Turf Club. And we have Caitlin Lopez, who's a student at the Hannah Early College High School. And yeah, really excited for you all to hear their stories. Like Bella said, I'm Mackenzie Feldman. I recently finished the master's program in agroecology, and I run an organization called Rewild Your Campus, and we work with students across the country to eliminate toxic pesticides and train groundskeepers on organic land care. So not directly agriculture, but we're really, looking at how to reduce harmful chemical usage in landscaping. So to start, I really want to just have all of you, if your microphones aren't turned on yet, good time to turn them on, and just go around, and if you can just share a little bit about what you're doing, like who are you here representing, kind of how, what brought you to this panel, and just share a little bit with the audience about your connection to food. Maybe Drew, we can start with you.
Hello, y'all can hear me well? Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Nieto. I'm a student employee at UTRGV's Hub of Prosperity. It's a 5-acre organic community farm. And it started 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I re-enrolled back at the university, and I'm a full-time bicycle commuter, so you probably saw my bicycle outside. To get to school, I would pass by a community farm, and one morning I smelled like manure and compost, and I heard a rooster crowing as I'm biking to school. And I look over to my side and I see a field, and I saw some student employees. Didn't know they were student employees at the time. And there was no UTRGV affiliated signs, but I saw a huge farm and all these people working, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I gotta come back and talk to them and reach out to see how I can become involved in it. And funny enough, I met some friends through biking at the university who happened to be student employees at the garden, the organic garden. And one thing led to another. I started volunteering with them every day through the summer. I've learned so much that they offered me a job at the Hub of Prosperity, which I've been so fortunate to been in, and that it's opened up a whole world of just learning. I've been learning about native plants, the ecology, conservation in the Rio Grande Valley, and like the emphasis in water conservation and land and proper land management. I'm just so fortunate to be here, to be part of the younger generation that's working with you all and going back to others to teach them and educate them about the importance of agriculture in the Rio Grande Valley.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. And yeah, let's give him a round of applause. Amazing young people up here. Awesome. And Caitlin, what about you? What is your connection to food that brought you here?
Well, my connection with this overall like produce and whatever is I am at Hannah High School. I'm a sophomore in Hannah High School. I've been there for 2 years, and I've seen overall like with the food that's served there in the school, it's been better, in my opinion. I felt like
And why has it been better? What is
because of the more locally,
you have a personal connection to
Yeah.
this. So
Because
who is behind making the food better?
My father, he works in the FNS for Brownsville ISD, and they are now trying to, are actually like moving to locally grown foods for the school's food, and I've seen a change in how the food is made now, and my peers and my friends they hadn't gone at all to like even see what the school was serving, but sometimes I would walk in with my tray because I had noticed obviously, and I walk into with my tray and they're like, what is that, like where'd you get that? I'm like, from the school. And they're like, oh, so they actually now they go to Lion now, in my opinion it tastes like the food that I see now. It tastes fresher, it tastes better, and now that it's being made with organic produce, the meals feel more homemade. I feel, yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think we all need to take a field trip to go try this food. And Marcos, how about you? If you recognize Marcos, he was on our panel 2 years ago when you were just a sophomore.
When I was a sophomore, yes.
Yeah.
Today I'm representing Mission CISD, more specifically Mission High School, the Surf and Turf Club. I'm the president, as well as also representing our friends at Rotary International. And I'm glad I'm up here because the difference between 2 years ago when I first started and now is immense. And I'm very glad to say, from the last time I spoke here, I was already at a high point, and that's why I was invited. And now I'm at the highest point I've ever been when it comes to this. And I'm just happy to be here to represent.
Awesome, awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what the program entails? Like, what are you all growing? Kind of what it on a daily basis. What does it look like? To share a little bit about what it's about.
Well, at the school we have multiple places where we plant. For the majority, I have Mr. Escamilla as my teacher for that class, and we grow in the greenhouse, but that is a community greenhouse. So a lot of the stuff in there is random assortment of different items that students grow, which like vegetables, flowers. But at the moment, we are focusing on native flowers. And right now, we have quite a few sprouting in the greenhouse. And we're just hoping that once they sprout, we can get some pollinators, pollinate them, and get the seeds, so we don't have to buy more seed from them, and we can just keep them in the greenhouse. But the Surf and Turf Club, which is at a different point in the school, it's another community club, but we're more focused on growing stuff together. So the stuff that we do grow are on separate boxes that we all plant, and we don't just plant, we build the boxes ourselves, collecting wood, we build from nothing and make something, and it's very amazing to see because, I mean, nobody's gonna help us, and when people said they were gonna help us, they didn't. So we grew from the bottom and like a plant, from a seed, and now we have a bunch of produce, and we have an aquaponics tank, and we just started up, and we're trying to build new boxes, but sometimes stuff gets in the way, but that's never stopped us.
Yeah. And we were talking before about just the social piece of agriculture and community building and how that's important. And just like Caitlin, when you're describing, there's that kind of gap. At first, the students didn't want to eat the food, right? And then when they realized it actually tastes really good and different, like everyone's really excited about that. And yeah, I would love for any of you, if you want to jump in and just share a little bit about like maybe Marcos, you can start since we were talking about this, like the social piece of food and bringing people together. And I feel like farming is just a small piece of what you guys are actually doing. So if you want to just share like, yeah, your personal like insights from that experience.
I will say, yeah, farming, if I had to rank it, farming is like third place from the stuff that we do. Because I feel like it's a very daunting task that people see like a farming class or an agriculture class and they're like, oh, well, I don't know anything about farming. The first and foremost, most important thing we learn is about socializing. Because from the moment that I joined till now, I'm a very different person. Freshman year, I would not be up here. I would be a shaky mess down there, even just thinking about it. And it's very important that I learn this and continuing to learn this. And in fact, some people here are starting to learn that, just the social aspect of it. And second place that I would say that we learn is like the business aspect. Like, what do people need? What do people eat? What do people want? And of course, both of those are fitting into farming, but farming is like third place. Because without socializing and the business aspect, we don't have farming. Obviously, you can farm by yourself, but you're just going to be farming for yourself. So we need to learn what the people want, and with that, we learn what the people want to buy and want to sell. So socializing is a very important aspect of this. And if I hadn't joined that class sophomore year, I wouldn't be up here in the first place. But in general, I wouldn't have the group of people that I have. You know, freshman year, only having like 4 friends, not talking to anybody. And now I'm the president of a club. I'm sitting in front of a bunch of people talking. And I have friends who are coming into this place because I've recommended it to them, as well as pushing people who don't want to be in the spotlight to be in the spotlight. Especially like once I'm gone, we need like people who will take my place. And you know, I have a few people in mind.
Yeah. Awesome. And Drew, how about you? I mean, I feel like you got into food and agriculture fairly recently, just over the past few years. Yeah. But if there's any community event related to native plants or food, you're always at it. Can you talk about kind of, your introduction to this world and also just the kind of community building part that you've experienced?
I have to agree with Marcos, right? Socializing and putting yourself out in the community is really important. I'm pretty sure a few of you can agree that you all met me because I was on my bicycle doing something and I stopped by, or I had something related to my bicycle that I really wanted to implement, whether it was like a bicycle farm ride with the hub, or advocating for biking accessibility on campus. Socializing in community is really important. I have to mention, Happy Earth Day, everyone. Happy Earth Day. Like, woo. So glad that we're here on this beautiful day. A year ago today, thank you. A year ago today, I was tabling for Rewild Your Campus. At RGV, we have the Environmental Awareness Club. A subsection of that is dedicated to helping rewild your campus to eliminate harmful pesticide use on campus, on the grounds. I was there as a student tabling for the EAC. And I was very fortunate to meet Alan Williams, who's also here today. I don't know if he's in the room, but putting yourself out there and being willing to talk to your community is very crucial. Also, to be able to ask questions or to tell the people, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Could you elaborate? It's very important. I gotta say, the elders in our community are very crucial. There's information and there's just history and oral storytelling that wouldn't get passed down to future generations if people like me aren't out there actively trying to learn and engage in their community. I think it's very important, especially like post-pandemic, like post-COVID, moving from the city of Houston back to the Rio Grande Valley. I didn't think that I could make an implement or be an implement of change in my community, but that's totally not true. I've done so much with community, and I'm just so fortunate to be back in the valley and like have been welcomed. Also, going back to Rewild the other day, we celebrated a big milestone with our club. The University of Texas Rio Grande Valley announced that they're no longer doing they're not spraying harmful pesticides on campus. So we took that as a victory, and we celebrated by having a picnic on the lawn. The Environmental Awareness Club invited the grounds crew. We all brought food, snacks. We even had two student-led bands perform. The grounds crew showed us around campus, and they showed us the landscaping that they were doing. We talked to them on a personal level, we thanked them, we wrote cards, and we told them, what can we do as students to not make you all do more work? Because we understand that the university pays these people to care for the lawn, care for the native landscapes, and also cut the grass. We're not trying to demand them to do extra work. We as students were eager to volunteer with them, to walk around the native landscaped area and see what plants were invasive, what we could do to manage the grasses with them. And it's been a beautiful joint effort to see community engage with the university grounds crew and to see this like just cohesive effort in wanting to make this place beautiful. I'm not sure if most of you are aware, but the university had this $5 million drainage project, and they got this landscaping company to make a native plot. And within the last summer, we had a really good rain. A bunch of invasive grasses started to grow, and it kind of looked ugly. It kind of looked mismanaged. You couldn't see any of the flowers or the native plants in there. And unfortunately, it was just the university grounds crew responsibility to pull or manage the grasses. But thankfully, reaching out to Alan Williams and other people, they were willing to educate us together, show us what plants need to be upkept or managed, and the lawn looks totally different now. Now that springtime has come, there's flowers everywhere, kiskadees. Students are out there sitting on the grass, reading books and enjoying a grass lawn that a few years ago was just empty and desolate. And community is such a strong facet. I love the community. I love la gente.
Yeah, that was such an awesome event that we did, and it was super cool having the groundskeepers there, and one by one they went up and introduced themselves to everyone, and they said thank you so much to the students for advocating for us, because now we don't have to worry about the impacts of pesticides 10, 20, 30 years down the road, which was really just heartfelt to hear from them. So yeah, great job to I'm so proud to see the student movement at UTRGV. So it's been so awesome to see that. I think, there's a lot of times there's a disconnection between us and our food, and whether we're talking about, farming or actually eating the food. Caitlin, I was wondering, could you talk a little bit more about, what was the inspiration for the change in the menus and just describing more about those changes that you've seen? I think that's really powerful, that students wouldn't even eat the lunch before and now they're eating it. I mean, what is the difference?
To me, I believe it's like how it looks and how it tastes. Like when I would go get lunch, some things I would try would be all right, but now that I see wait, what was?
Just what is that? Yeah, that difference that you're seeing now versus how it was before, and what was the inspiration for that change to happen?
Like how I said, some students would not go to go get the lunch, and I think they can see that some meals, yes, people do go, but some don't, and they see that, and they see that there's a change need to be made. So when they see that people aren't really going for those type of meals, they try and fix them. They try and use better ingredients and the recipes to see what students would want to, what eagers them to go into the lines and get the food.
Do you know if what you're seeing at your school, is that similar to happening at different schools in Brownsville? Mm-hmm. Is that happening at different schools in Brownsville too, where more students are eating the food?
I've heard from friends that are not in my high school,
yeah,
that they also talk about to me, because, my father, right? They know that my father works there, and they say that they see a difference and they genuinely like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And being here and listening to this, what do you think about growing food? Is that something that interests you?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Now that I see the foods changing, I'm like, oh, where is it coming from? And that's what the school tells us. They have pamphlets on the wall saying where it comes from, that it's organically grown, and that interests me and my friends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you all have a school garden at your school?
I think we do actually in the very back of our school, but it's there. Okay. I've seen it.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have to get involved.
Yeah, maybe.
And Marcos, we were talking about how sometimes it's hard to get your friends involved, and once they're involved, they're really excited. Why is it hard to get people involved, or what is it that when you say farming or agriculture, you know.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think it's just the daunting idea of being a farmer. Because I think when people hear farmer, they think like old, gruff man, like who has been on a farm for 50 years. But like while that is true, we've also have like new generation farmers who want to do different things. And farming isn't just, you know, getting out there and like plowing a field for a few days straight. There's so many different avenues now, like aquaponics, hydroponics, learning new ways like to build technology about farming. And when people hear farmer, they have this concept in their mind that like, oh, I can't be that because I'm not that. And once we get people in, it's like, well, like I said earlier, the social aspect kicks in. And I have friends who just started this year, like my best friend who just started this year, but he's already doing everything that I do with Escamilla, my teacher. And he kicked off so fast, and it's just that joining right before that everybody's like, I guess I won't. But the moment they're inside of it, it's more fun than people realize. And I don't think I've seen somebody want to leave after joining it. Nobody's ever said, hey, I'm going to go to the counselors to switch out of this class. We have people like me who have him for three periods at a day. And people love it. His class is fun. We learn new things. And it's not like other classes where you don't want to be there. It's a class where actively you want more of it.
Drew, can you talk more about the Hub of Prosperity? Like, what is that like, kind of working with your classmates, and just kind of describe the operations there?
I think I have to add on with Marcos. If I was back in high school, I wish we had I wish we had an organic garden, or like that was a club that was offered to us. I think it's really important that if we're talking about the future generations of the Rio Grande Valley, we have to have our children, the newer generations, actively participating in like community gardens, growing vegetables on school or around campuses, seeing native pollinator gardens, and how our ecosystem and how like the living world around us is just very like tied into human nature, human spirit, and just grounding yourself. I think if I was a child and I had the opportunities to see farming from like a hands-on perspective, I would have been different. I would have known a lot more than I do now, but I'm still so fortunate to have learned what I've learned. I also think I lost my train of thought there for a second, but
And can you talk about the hub? Like, what are y'all growing there, and just describe that the experience that has been for you.
It's been a lot of fun working with the community, like doing teamwork.
Do you all know the hub? Like, raise your hand if you know the Hub of Prosperity. Raise your hand if you don't know the Hub of Prosperity. Okay, can you just describe it a little bit more from the beginning? Like, what is this place?
So the Hub of Prosperity is a 5-acre community farm. It's a partnership with the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and the landowners, which is the First United Methodist Church of Edinburgh. On Saturdays, we have a farmer's market. And on the first Saturdays of the month, we have community workshops that involve different topics. The last topic was bees and birds. We had an ornithologist and then a beekeeper come to the community garden and present on their topics. Just to add on, like biking here today from Brownsville, from the RGV Brownsville to the event center, I passed by 4 organic gardens and that real beautiful farmers market that you all have out on Linear Park. And Edinburgh and McAllen, yes, we do have farmers markets, but I don't see community gardens as much as I do over here. We do have our 5-acre farm, but I don't see anyone in the neighborhoods come out to participate as I've seen over here in Brownsville. I think there's a more tight-knit community over here, and there's also just a stigma that like agriculture is something that we shouldn't do, or some people think that they're better than. I know growing around farmers and ranchers, my parents would put this stigma on me that like if I were misbehaving or if my grades weren't up, I was going to be one of those like farmers or workers there. And I thought, how terrible is that to put that stigma on a child? Now growing up and finding this field myself, it's been so much fun, and it's been such a hands-on experience. And I thank the Hub for that. We do so much. We grow vegetables. We teach the community. We have community garden boxes. And we have beginner farmer plots for people who want to pick up their yields in terms of growing vegetables. I just think it's real interesting. If y'all haven't gone out there, you do have to give it a try, or at least try the vegetables from Sentley as well, because they're absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I just got my plot there, and yeah, anyone can get like a little raised bed or a plot there as a community member and grow food, which has already been such an enjoyable experience. For all of you, what would you say, to this audience of people that want to support, the next generation? How can these community leaders and farmers and educators support you in your work, not just in agriculture, but like as an upcoming leader?
I want to add on that, like what you just asked, but I do want to mention that there are people already helping, but there could be more. At our school, nearby, there is a food truck that just offered to buy produce from us that we'll grow per month, and they'll pay us for it. And I feel like the moment we heard that, we were ecstatic. And I think more people that have the power to help should help, like schools in general, our school, other schools. Like if you have some bit of money, some bit of land or something that you're like, well, I don't need this, but I bet these kids do. That offer excited us more than anything. So we need more people who are willing to help and invest in the next generation, because when you get us early, you're going to get us for our whole lives.
Yeah. And on that note, I just wanted to give a shout out to Bobby. Where are you? Bobby. It's just awesome to see. I mean, this is really a testament to Dr. Rosales, but Dr. Rosales, taught Bobby. And then 2 years ago, we had your former student, Carlos Wong, on the panel, who you taught him and switched his career from engineering to actually get interested in agriculture. And now you taught Marcos, and now Marcos is going to start at UTRGV in the fall and wants to do sustainable agriculture. And so it's this beautiful kind of, and we have no doubt you're going to be teaching the next generation soon. And so it's just a really cool cycle to see. So shout out to Bobby and all the other amazing educators that are inspiring these young folks. Okay, let's turn it over to our next panelist. How can folks here kind of support you and your peers, whether in food systems or just in anything that you want to do?
How can I support my peers? Like how I said, they never wanted to go get the food for some reason, but like I don't know, the impact that it has is that they never went to go get the food, because not just because of the food themselves, and like now that they changed it, it feels like they want to go, like they want to eat. At the very beginning of the year of my freshman year, they just mentally they just didn't want to, like, and the food added that kind of also. So after that, they just went, and I encouraged them to, because it changed for us. It's not just for the FNS, but it's for the schools, it's for the students. We wanted to see that change for my friends too, because they never went, and I really felt sad about that. And now that they go, now that I encourage them, not just my students, but my peers, but my teachers too. Like instead of driving out to go eat somewhere else, like Subway or whatever, now they stay to the school and buy the plates from the FNS. And I find that very, like, I don't know, uplifting, I guess. Like to see that my teachers are also like impacting the organic food that's being served.
And when people are now like sitting more in the cafeterias, because before I imagine if everyone's getting food from somewhere else, there's not like a community of people eating together. But do you see that more, like
Yes.
folks eating together?
Because me and my friends used to sit somewhere else. We would never go to the cafeteria, and now that like the food has changed, they're now starting to go to the cafeteria. We now sit in the cafeteria.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Like just changing the food, it also changes
Yes.
like the gathering spaces, and yeah. Do you have any more changes that you'd like to see, kind of to improve even more? You're pretty happy with
Yeah,
how
I'm
it
pretty
is.
happy with it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Drew, how about you?
What was the question?
How can people here support you as a upcoming, food systems leader and change maker?
Can you say it again?
How can people here support you, or what would you say, to this audience that's engaged and wants to support young people? Like, what is the message that? What do more young people need? You or your peers?
I guess just more community, like third spaces, community events, hosting little events to get the community out there, whether it's to your farm, to your property, to your business, to see what it is you're doing and what you do to serve your community. It's as basic as that. Yeah, just putting yourself out there, reaching out. If you see someone that looks eager to come up to you, don't be afraid to talk to them or extend that hand of gratitude. I know sometimes I've been a little too timid to go up to people to ask them questions, but as soon as I see that welcoming smile or them acknowledge my presence, it just changes my attitude, and we end up learning so much, or exchanging so much information together. It's real wonderful. Just to put yourself out there, really.
All right, well, I think we're going to open it up for some Q&A and be able to kind of continue the conversation in that way. So does anyone have any questions for this panel? Okay, back there. The microphone is coming. She's running. She's getting to you.
Banking on what Drew said about there being a stigma around.
Do you mind? Can you say your name and introduce yourself too?
Hi, my name is Jordan. I'm from Mission High. As I was saying, banking on what Drew was saying about the stigma around agriculture and it kind of being like lesser work, how can we as a culture breed more positive thought into agriculture?
It's real. We have to look back at the history of the Rio Grande Valley, and it's a really good question. If we forget about the history of the Rio Grande Valley and our bicultural identity, we're gonna forget that those are just people. The food we eat, no matter where, if we buy it from HEB or an organic garden, it came from someone's hands and it came from someone's labor. And it's just a preference of whether or not you want good tasting organic food or just that stuff they sell up there on the shelves. But how we change the stigma is through community, through storytelling, through putting yourself out there and willing to get dirty. 2 years ago, I was the type of person that I had to shower in the morning, I had to shower at night. I couldn't get dirty. I used to be a pharmacy tech who was super clean and very into scrubs and being a square person. But grounding myself and getting into dirt, I just had to okay, there's dirt in my fingernails, I'm sweaty, I'm covered in dirt, but it's just so rewarding to be out there with community members, your coworkers, people who have never done agriculture before or anything related, and just to see them learning or bright-eyed and taking in all that information, it's very rewarding. It's one thing to be on the highway, farm to market roads and seeing agriculture pass by, but if you're not on there, actually in there learning from people and conversing, it's just gonna look like something you wouldn't want to do. Definitely, to go back to how do we change the stigma? It's by going out there, by communicating with others, by learning, whether it's through YouTube or active engagement. Don't be afraid to learn or see how crucial it is, agriculture is to everyone, whether it's a small garden or big farm.
Yes, Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline. I am the owner of Edible Rio Grande Valley. My questions are going to be very off topic, so just sorry, audience. One, what's the Surf and Turf Club?
The Surf and Turf Club is a club at Mission High School. We focus on growing plants in the ground as well as taking care of and managing aquatic tanks where we have fish that are owned by the students as well as fish that we collect from local canals. And we go out on field trips and we do studies on the different, we catch a bunch of fish and we do studies on how much of each fish do we have and how much survive the transport. And we look at if any of them have diseases, how would treating a group be able to treat individuals?
My second question has to do with kind of this idea of multi-generational, right? You being in the fields with multiple generations. And what's an example of a story or something you learned from that older generation?
I can go back on that. So I'm a 7th generation rancher on my mother's side. She's got family ties from some of the first colonists that came from Spain. And so my great grandparents, during Easter times, like in springtime, my family would show us the mesquite pods. Have you all ever ate mesquite pods before? Right? Mesquite pods, granejo, the anacua actually. My family would tell me stories of how their family, their elders, would eat the mesquite pods. They would process them into coffee grounds when there wasn't coffee or they didn't have the money to go into town to purchase like vegetables. They had to rely on the native plants that surrounded them. And so it's the power of oral storytelling or just being with your elders and listening to them. Sometimes we're a little too arrogant or just too inconsiderate to want to listen. But if you put yourself out there and you realize that these plants and the diversity of the Rio Grande Valley is very rich in terms of culture and history, you could learn that you could put yourself in the desert. I've seen this thing that people would be like in West Texas and Big Bend. If you're in the middle of Big Bend on a hot desert day, you might think that there's nothing there to eat. But if you learn about the ethnobotany and the history of the plants there, you would actually know that most of all the food, all the plants there are edible, if not edible, medicinal, and they serve some purpose to you rather than just looking like a plant. So it's very important as either the young generation or the old generation to know that there's like a baton to be passed. Whether you want to give it down to someone or give it up, you could pass it either way. It's just knowing that we're just all a community of multi-generational people, and just learning is forever, right? Just once you go out of college or high school, that doesn't mean that you're done learning. You can learn about anything and everything all the time. And with plants and ecology, my goodness, you could learn every single day.
I would like to add on that. I didn't know this when I first started because I just started off of my teacher asking me to join. But before I was born, my grandfather on my mom's side was a farmer here in Texas. He owned a bunch of orange orchards, and when he passed away, his partner and my grandma, they sold all the land. So I never knew that I had ties to agriculture until I started farming and doing stuff for the school. And when I was telling my mom stories about it, she got teary-eyed because I look like my grandfather. And his name is Mark and my name is Marcos, so I'm named after him. And when she heard that no ties at all, I never knew any stories about him, that I have sort of continued like a family legacy just from the spirit of it, she was in tears because it was like a generational thing. It's just I never knew about it.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right. My name is Rocio Hernandez. I work with Idea Public Schools for the Farm to School programming. And Marco, this is kind of a question to you, but really, I mean, it's for anybody. And it's a kind of a vulnerable question, so feel free to tap in. I know that you were already there with that story that you shared. So let me see. Andrew, you mentioned the stigma, and that's a big thing for our students, right? It's kind of like you go out to the farm and you're like, you know, in their words, this is low-key embarrassing, man, right? You have me out here working in the sun, right? And so I'm curious, in your kind of experience, all of you within your agricultural experience, have you, when you go home and you share your stories with whether it's your caretaker, your cousins, your primas, your hermanos, your mom, or your dad, have you seen a perspective shift? Have you seen maybe celebration or acknowledgement? And I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but maybe if there's more examples of that all of you might be able to share.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to continue as well. When I first started telling my family that I was interested in this, some of my family was a little like, they didn't know anything about agriculture, were a little like weirded out, like, because I was a major like science kid, I love technology. And they're like, no, mijo, just do your computers and like focus on that. But the main one that I saw that I kind of focused on was my grandpa. Well, my mom's stepdad, after my grandpa passed away, he was best friends with my grandpa, and he saw that I was interested in agriculture, and I feel like it was the same thing that my mom went through. Like when she saw me interested in this, he was like his eyes glowed like that. Because all my family, I don't want to say, but like nobody besides me would want to get dirty, and he's an old guy, and he's very proud of his work that he worked on like throughout when he was younger. So seeing that I'm willing to like get dirty, and in fact that I love it, and that I want to work hard, and I want to be sweaty, and I want to be outside, it was a moment where he was insanely proud of me. And once my other family members saw that, they're like, oh, this is not just like a hobby. He's out here, his hands covered in dirt, his knees wet from the soil, and like they eventually realized like this isn't just something he's doing, this is something that he loves.
Yeah, anyone else?
I could add on to that too. I've learned with what I've been learning this year, I've been implementing it at home. I live with my family, and I kind of took some of our backyard space to turn it into a native garden. At first, my parents were kind of hesitant, and they were kind of pushing me back. They were limiting my space and limiting what I could do with that space. But as they gradually started to see things bloom and grow nice, and see the hummingbirds come in and the butterflies are just constantly in my backyard, my parents finally like eased up on that. And then like this summer, I started composting and collecting compost in a bucket in the backyard, in the corner where my parents don't even walk by it or like ever see it. But just them knowing that it was there, they were just not for it. They're claiming that there's flies, claiming that it just smelled bad. But I was in that space all the time and I didn't smell anything. But, right? And then I bought a bucket to be put inside, a compost bucket to be put inside. I was the only one collecting coffee grounds. I would ask them nicely, could you please just put your banana peels on the side, don't throw them in the trash? But they wouldn't listen. And I was like, instead of arguing with them, I guess I just have to take the extra step of grabbing it out of the trash can and then putting it in the compost bin. But then one morning, as I went to go put my coffee grounds in the home compost bin, I saw that they all put their stuff in there without me asking. I was like, oh my goodness, they're finally seeing the click in this. And then they even gifted me a compost bin for outside instead of the barrel. And like I literally started crying. I was like, oh my goodness, they see like how easy it is and how simple it is. I think of like the waste, and I think it's, I'm gonna say stupid, but I think it's very stupid to walk around my neighborhood and see brown bags of like mulch and lawn litter when that could be compost to go back into your garden. And so some of my people in my neighborhood, I see they have native plants, so I've like used that to get to talk to them and let them know like, hey, you know, that mulch would be good in your garden, or this is a plant that could be propagated. I kind of rambled on with that question, but it's just like, you know, when you're very passionate about it and you can see things to help someone, or like, hey, like you could actually do this and this is beneficial in that way. Like people will see it. It takes some time. It takes like actually being out there and observing it, but change can happen slowly and gradually. You can't just dump all of this on them at once because, oh my goodness, I would imagine it being stressful too. But give like your neighbors like a plant, or give them like a little clip, a seedling, and show them it's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of watering. If it dies, it dies. Try again. Don't stop yourself from trying. It's all trial and error, and
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that story. I'm totally that person too. My favorite thing to gift someone is a compost bin. I think, Perlo, when you got married, I gifted you a compost bin. And you're finally using it, which makes me really happy. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know, Caitlin, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, like I always say this, but change does like matter. It does have a very big impact, and not just me, but my friends too, my teachers, everybody in my school.
We got a question all the way back there. She's getting in her steps today.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Jeffrey Westby from Mission High School, and one of you guys up there knows me. That's Marco with the Surf and Turf Club. But the question is, it's first like an observation that I had, and then a question to the other two in the panel, is that with the club, as I guess a collateral byproduct of positivity to them learning and growing their own vegetables, is that the students that have come into the club came in not really knowing what to expect, but then what they found was, like what Marco was saying, was the social aspect of it. And they really came together, and they have more friends within the group, and it's more familial in the way that it feels. And I noticed that their time with me in the garden, or with us in the garden, is that their social, I guess their self-esteem, their self-worth, their sense of delayed gratification, discipline, determination, and all that has kind of like lengthened. It's from a place where you play video games and everything's like instant. It seems like very daunting to like have to wait 3 months for something to grow. And that's what these kids have done, and they've done it patiently, and the self-esteem that they got. So I was wondering for the other two in the panel, because I know how Marco feels, but through farming and through working with your hands and doing hands-on work, like by yourself, and watching these things grow and watching things happen, has that built you in any kind of way psychologically, or like you said, socially, but in a psychological way, like your inner self and self-worth? Has that built you up? Have you seen any kind of differences as you work on?
Yeah, I think working in a garden, volunteering in a garden, can teach a lot about patience, having to wait for the plants to grow. It's also self-empowering and very uplifting to know that you could provide for yourself. If it just being a little bit of herbs or like tomatoes or whatnot, it's empowering to know that you have the capability within your hands. Going back on the gratification, I usually talk about this, but I think it's interesting, but we have like things called smash rooms. You could rent out a room to break things and whatnot. That's so overkill when you could just go into a garden and pull weeds. Like, if you think that's gratification, go sit on the floor with your friends, get a big shade hat, talk chismoso, spill the tea, like talk about whatever you want, pull some weeds, and the gratification and the feeling of doing stuff with your friends and getting work done is just so empowering. I love it. I look forward to being done with classes, or to go to the garden to sit with my friends and just like talk, or like chismear where we left off. And while you're doing work, it could be like a multitasking thing. It's real rewarding. I've also mentioned this before, that coming from Houston, having roommates with Amazon Prime. In Houston, they have not only same day Amazon Prime, but like next hour, next 2 hours. Some people would just go wild if they didn't get their package within the next hour. Be like, well, I was supposed to get it, why isn't it here? And then coming from that type of environment to a farm where I would plant seeds and then go the next day and there's no seedling, there's no growth. I was like a little impatient at first. It really did teach me patience. It taught me to be grounded, to know that things that are worth waiting for do take time, and it's so worth it. This last summer was the first summer that I've worked with the garden during a tomato harvest, and I liked store-bought tomatoes beforehand until I tried these tomatoes. It was that taste and that feeling of the satisfaction of waiting months for them to ripen up and to taste how different they were. It clicked in me like, oh my goodness, this is all worth it. Patience is everything. It's just well worth it.
I know, Caitlin, you're not currently farming, so I don't know
Yeah,
if you
no,
want to
yeah,
add
definitely.
anything or just anything that came to you, but.
Like with what he said, like the tasting the difference.
Yeah.
That's something with the way I would feel also with the school meals. It does make an impact, and it make you open your eyes and see that how different it can be when it's like organically grown.
I want to add something. I know he said for the other two, but this is going to be something that I wanted to say anyway. But for the self-esteem question, yeah, I mean, from freshman year to now, I am like a mic hog. Like, I love like like not just attention, because that's like selfish, but I like being able to say something. Like, I like when people hear my voice, because nobody would listen to me or hear what I have to say when I was younger. Not just like family, but like people. Like they just saw me as like another kid that wouldn't speak, or would just do their work and sit back down. But like farming, you can like the two people that experienced this the most this year was Mr. Westby and my vice president Serena. From day one, Westby was like, we're gonna do elections for presidency and other candidates. I didn't let anybody else like have a say. I was like, I'm president. I told him I'm gonna be president, and every time somebody was like, oh, I'm gonna run, I'm like, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna be president. I didn't let anybody else, like, obviously they had the chance to run, but like they weren't gonna beat me. My self-esteem is, it might be a little too high, and I can just say and like do stuff because I'm not embarrassed. I want people to hear what I have to say. I want to be on stage and have a voice because I was the one that didn't have a voice. So I know when people don't have voices, and I know what to say for those people because they're not going to say it themselves. I'm lucky that I had one decision. I said yes once, and it led me to here. And like I have a lisp. I have trouble speaking, and growing up, that was very embarrassing for me. But right now, I don't care. I'm talking to all of you, and I have so much confidence because I joined this. And it's not just me. I know people who like wouldn't even consider standing in front of a crowd, and now they're like my vice president, just introducing people to the new club. And next year she's going to be president, whether she likes it or not. And not just them, but my friends and other people that I introduced to this. And I'm going to say it's really thanks to, at first, Mr. Escamilla, because if y'all know Bobby, he's going to say something. He's going to say what he wants to say, as well as Mr. Westby. They're both like, not the way I am now. And it's thanks to both of them that I can say what I want to say. And I'm not embarrassed about it because I have a voice now. And for those that don't, I want to speak for them.
What do you think it is about farming that that has empowered you in that way?
Oh, it's like being a farmer and just the idea of starting it, you have to be a leader. You cannot like just be a follower, because you can work on a farm, but to be a farmer, you need to be a leader. And being a leader means that you say something, means that you speak up, means that you help people. So just having to like have that in my mind that one day, if I really want to do this, I need to be a leader. So I have to lead. And by leading, I need to speak. I need to speak for those who don't want to speak. And I'll say what I need to say. And I mean, it's gotten to a point that thanks to Rotary, I did a few competitions with them, and I spoke what I wanted to speak. And it's my story, but people also have their stories that they're not going to come up here and say it. So I want to be the person who says it for them. And then when I'm gone, the next person will say it for them. Because not everybody's going to speak up for themselves. Not everybody's going to get up here and say something. And not everybody wants to be a leader. And that's a fact. Everybody likes the idea of, you know, leading over something or being like the captain of a ship. But doing the stuff, speaking in front of the crowd, like getting your hands dirty with them, not everybody's going to do that. In fact, almost nobody will.
So we're from Brownsville ISD, and I just wanted to ask you, it's really great that you have learned and have gained this confidence through the initiatives that you're trying to teach, and the confidence itself would be an attribute on its own to teach the students of our districts, right? So what else, in your opinion, have you gained or are able to teach the students, but also the local families in our region?
Can you ask like the question again? Like what can we teach?
Like everything that you're doing, how does it make you feel to teach the local families of our region, of the Rio Grande Valley, and those initiatives that you've brought? Like, so what other things can you teach them, or how have you felt in reaching out to local families?
Well, it's really just about targeting, because we can do a wide range and maybe we'll get like a few people, but knowing who wants to do what, like, and not just like focusing on them, because just focusing on one person won't help anybody, but knowing who wants to do it and helping them with it is very important, which is why I thank my teachers, because Mr. Escamilla, Bobby, saw that I could do this, and every chance he got, he was like, Marcos, you want to do something? And he knew that I had the potential to do it, and there are people, even in this room, that have the potential to do it, and I think it's because so many people are comfortable that they don't want to do something, but you need to be taught and almost basically forced to do something you don't want to, because once you do it and you're like, oh, well, I didn't die. You're like, yeah, I can do more of this. And it becomes fun the more you do it, because you're like, this scared me to death, but I'm not dead. And I think that's basically, people need, and not just teachers, but other peers need to push each other past, not just past comfort zone, but past the zone that they feel like this could kill me if I did it. Like, if I go up on stage, I'm gonna have a heart attack. And it's very important to go beyond even just what you think is beyond your limits.
And Drew, what about at the hub? Like, I feel like all these families that come to the market, and even just walking around the paths before that, like, is there any moments where you've kind of connected with families, you've gotten excited about what has been created there?
Yeah, I've experienced seeing new faces and new people walk into the hub or the garden for the first time, wanting to learn how to garden or grow vegetables. It's really rewarding. It's very fun to see people learn. Even on their first day, they don't do much. It's just like simple weeding or tasks, but it's just ingrained in them that, oh, I'm actually able to do these things. It's not as hard as I thought or I expected it to be. It is about venturing out and having to push yourself to expect to do hard things. But once you get over that hill, it's very rewarding. It's very easy to do. I also thinking about like social engagement and whatnot. I would post pictures like on my Instagram of like the plants that I'm growing, and I had some friends in Matamoros see it and message me like, would I be able to grow those same vegetables over here? And it's the same zone, the same region, it's just on the other side of the river. And I've encouraged them and their neighbors to start community, like raise garden beds, because the soil wasn't that healthy. And they started growing herbs and microgreens. And now I have a little farm. It's not even a farm, but it's more of a garden. But I have a garden in Matamoros that I go to every once in a while to make sure that they're like managing it well. It's as simple as like putting it out there. Like, I did this, and if you want to do it too, like this is what you do. Again, like engaging your community, whether it's like through a social post or a community event. It's not that hard to teach others if you're willing to put yourself out there and to guide them. It's real rewarding work.
Caitlin, have any of your friends gotten their families more excited about healthy food? Really?
Yeah, some of my friends tell they tell me that their parents, like, they have the food, the students, and then they go to their parents, oh, like, it was really good today, like how much it's changed over the time. And the parents are even, like, questioning, because sometimes whenever we have open house, the FNS, like, has, like, little, like, you get to try things that they're bringing out new. And the parents always, like, go in there and everything's gone by, like, 5 minutes. So, yeah.
I have one last question for you all, and then I told you it's a great panel. The three of you, looking out into this room full of people who want you to succeed and want to help you succeed, right? This is moving vision into action. What is your call to action? Short and sweet, but what do you need? And that's going to give these folks an opportunity to understand how they can best assist you in what you're doing.
Contact us. We will answer. Just talk to us and we will respond.
Yeah.
Just like third spaces, I guess. Brownsville has a lot of community gardens that I've seen in the area as compared to Edinburgh and McAllen. If there was more third spaces, community spaces, if there's an empty lot in your neighborhood, one of my friends tells me it's better to ask for forgiveness and for permission. Throw some vegetable seeds in there, gourds or something that's real easy. Like let others pass around it and see, whoa, this is something that I can do. And then, if someone like tears it all down or something or tries to blame the finger, ask for forgiveness. But just try and start. Whether it's like a raised garden bed in your backyard, in someone else's space, have third spaces, have places out there that isn't a place where you have to spend money, isn't a place where you have to drive out. Have more third spaces and community comes.
What is your call to action, Caitlin?
Call to action, like for what they can see, how much it changes our perspective in the school. Like they're doing the work, like they're inputting like all those organic food, and it's them, right? They're doing that, but we see and we like experience the food in general, and how much it changes.
I just want to add to that, as like someone who's listening, I know growing up as well, I've had friends in high school who like faced food insecurity, and it's really sad to see them not enjoy the food that's already there. So I could imagine that if the school districts were to change the food and actually have fresh meals, if they're only getting 2 meals a day, at least it's really good food and nutrients like in their stomach. And I'm just so fortunate that Brownsville has that, and I hope Edinburgh and McAllen can see that and implement it as well. And that's usually how it goes in the Valley. One city does something really cool, and the other ones are like, we need to do that. So it's just by putting your best team forward and your best leaders out there and implement a little bit of change and let others see that it's doable if they follow through. So I'm real fortunate for Brownsville and your father for implementing good food for those students out there.
Well, I believe that we're at time, so if everyone can give one more round of applause for these amazing young people.